world.
Hello.
Give these folks a second to catch up. Yes. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Comic Shop Talk Live, brought to you by Black Cat Comics and Rockin' Milpitas, your one-stop shop for all things superhero. Shop online at black-cat-comics.com. We're here to keep you into the comic book community. I'm Mark.
I'm Francie.
And boy, we have lots of fun stuff to talk about. Big revelations and big news. But first, we always like to talk comic shop news. Comic shop news. New comics. It's a great week of new comics. As always, it's Batman week, which is always fun. A lot of big books to talk about. Some slick indie books to talk about. Fun stuff. This is an interactive program, so we'd love to hear from the folks at home. Let us know what you're reading this week, what you're excited to be reading.
What's on top of the stack?
What's on top of the stack? What's you super stoked about? What are you into this week? Why don't you start us off? Because you've got some cool. Well, we both do, but you've got cool things.
Okay, I would be happy to. So I talked about this one already, and issue 2 is great as well. Sleeping Beauties by Stephen King and another prolific son, Owen. So this is an adaptation of a short story that they did together, and it's super creepy and it's super timely. The long and the short of it is there's a virus that's only affecting women, and it produces this weird like cobweb stuff over their faces and puts them into like a comatose, and that's kind of all we know so far. We're getting introduced to different characters, different situations. It's super creepy. There's a woman who's not a woman. She's either a god or a witch or something that we haven't figured out who she is yet. That's kind of, I don't know if she's an orchestra of all this stuff. But anyway, super creepy. Highly recommend it, especially for all you horror fans out there. And I'll show you just a quick picture so you get a sense of what I'm talking about here. Great art. It's got kind of a Orange is the New Black feel to it. What can I show? Oh yeah, I can't show that.
can't show that.
I kind of want to show. Yeah, I could show this part. Okay, so this is just a
little sample of the art.
That's her head. Her head is in a cocoon. It's so creepy. Who wants to like have a cocoon head?
No one.
A web head.
Well, everybody loves web head.
Well, in the right context, I guess. So that was one of the first books I grabbed for this week, and it was really good.
IDW.
Yes, right? IDW, correct. Good times. Good
awesome
times.
Stuff.
What do you got?
Is that back to me? Well, I'm going right to the big guns, and that's Empire #4. I love the big Marvel events. I love things with The Thing. I love things with Jim Chung. This one's all over the internet. Everybody's already reading Empire. There's a couple of huge things in this one that I don't want to say, even though you already know and everybody already knows.
Spoilers.
But pick this book up. It's a big deal because it's a big deal now. It's awesome. But it will have ramifications in the future, good and bad, and all this stuff. It's one of those continuity books, and it's a whole lot of fun. I've been waiting a long time for Marvel to get a little more intergalactic. I love the Annihilation event. But that was a long time ago. One thing that I've always said that sets Marvel and DC apart, a big thing, and it may not be as true as it used to be, but it's certainly true as I came up reading comics. Whenever a DC hero goes into space, they get to somewhere new. There's a new planet, new race, new whatever, which is all great. That's fine. But the Marvel Universe outer space is much more established. When you go into space in the Marvel Universe, there's the Kree, there's the Skrulls, there's the Xandarians, but it's fairly limited, and they've built a cool sort of continuity around that with the Shi'ar and everything else. Again, it's fun to see them kind of getting back to that. In the 70s, it was the Kree Skrull War and all the Avengers books. In the 80s, it was all the Shi'ar stuff and all the X-Men. And then in the 90s and into the current stuff, they just sort of kind of got away from all that. So that's my long way of saying Empire is a lot of fun. It's one of those things that involves everybody in the Marvel Universe. And as I always like to caveat, if you're just reading your books and you don't care about events, then you can stick to your book, and that's all peachy. And the reverse is true. You don't have to read all the different side stuff. You can just pick up Empire and read it, and it's awesome. And everybody will talk about the end, and then everybody will talk about we'll make some big deal. But there's quite a lot of other things going on in this series besides
layered.
It's very layered. And like I say, we'll have ramifications. Particularly about a couple of folks right there on the cover of the book. So Empire, it's weekly, so they're getting away from you. This is already number 4. So if you haven't been following, pick up 1, 2, 3, 4. It's fun stuff. It's quintessential Marvel Comics. If you're not a superhero person, you were talking about some indie stuff. I got a couple indie books in the stack. We've been talking a lot about indie books recently. If superheroes isn't your thing, then Empire is not going to change your mind. But if you love the MU like I do, then it's definitely worth picking up.
We should give a little shout out to Mike Martz.
Hey, Mike Martz, thanks for joining us. You're part of why I keep mentioning how much we're talking about indie guys lately.
That was so much fun. We had so much fun chatting it up with Mr. Martz, editor-in-chief of Aftershock, last week. So if you guys missed it, check it out on YouTube or Facebook from last week. That was a fun time.
It was. It was a fun episode. It was a good conversation. I think there's a lot of good fun information exchange as well.
Funformational, as you like to say.
Funformational, as I like to say. Infotainment, as Homer Simpson and I like to say.
Yes.
So what's next in your stack there? Ooh, Archaea.
I love this book.
Storyteller.
This might be the best book out of all of their whole series, all of the ones that they've ever done.
Wow. And real quick, they've done, I won't remember them all, they've done fairies.
Witches, giants, mermaids.
Well, it's been quite a few then already.
At least half a dozen. And they're all, again, they do 4 books in the series, but each book is a standalone, usually done by a single writer-artist. And this one is, so this one's Ghost, and it's by V.E.R. Ver. I don't know. Ver?
Is that Captain Marvel?
I don't know. Maybe. And it is a wonderful story, super creepy, brought me to tears. I love it when like horror genre, you're like, oh yeah, horror, it's so creepy. And then like they gut sucker punch you for like an emotional, heart wrench kind of thing. I'm like, oh, I was totally terrified. And then they had me crying at the end.
Oh, they weeded you.
Oh, they totally weeded me. Yeah. So let me show you some amazing art, because this guy, you want to read up about this guy. Look at that guy. Who is he? Where does he come from? What does he mean?
That's cool.
Right? I mean, it's just great stuff. So if you haven't picked, oh, I gotta show this one too. This is so good. Creepy. It's a great book. It's super fun. It's well worth the $3.99 cover price. So that was on top of my stack this week for sure.
Did you say something about it? The writer artist? Is it the same person who does the whole book?
Yep, whole thing. They've got the only other person is the letterer and the editor. That's it. Ver, V-E-R. I don't know if that's male or female. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Did all of it. That's impressive. Very impressive. You don't see a lot of that in comics. Yeah, and it's just no. Let's see. How do I say this gently? No offense to artists out there or to writers out there. It's very hard to be good at both. Sure. And so I'm a little leery sometimes when I pick up a book that's both a writer, artist, doing the whole thing. But you can tell this is a passion project. This guy or gal totally understood the genre, understood the storyteller theme, and really, delivered. I really enjoyed it. The storyteller stuff's been a lot of fun. It's been great.
again, a sort of outside the superhero thing that's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great genre stuff going on in comics, and horror stuff sort of tops that list.
I love horror.
And that's also my weekly John Byrne bit. Because to back up your point, because as is well established, I love him very much, and he's one of those people that writes and draws his own stuff. But a lot of people like myself will tell you that he's better when he has an inker, when Terry Austin does the inks or some such. There's something to be said for the artist doing the writing because they have a deeper understanding of the story they want to tell. But like you say, and it's kind of common in comics, a common perception that it's tough to do both because something suffers. Yeah. If you're doing everything, you're doing
totally different skill sets.
Sure. Well, and then like I say, you can't give 110% to everything all the time. And so if you're doing the scripts and the pencils and the inks and the letters and the whole shebang, I mean, even Kirby had Royer and different people because, like I say, you just can't. That being all being said, when you're holding it in your hand, and you're like, wow, this is awesome. And there are a couple issues of those Byrne FFs that are like that. 257 comes to mind, where you're just like, wow, this is awesome. I can't believe this was done by one person.
So another plug, Liam Sharp, our friend and Black Cat patron, his Brave and the Bold series, I think is a 6-issue series. Masterful. I loved it. Every inch of that series, every page, every panel, every word spoken, masterful.
It's very difficult to do, but when it's done well, I mean, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it elevates the medium.
There you go. Well, again, it's commonly understood, and I say all the time that comics are collaborative, and like music and like a lot of things, it's best when it's done with more than one person with a contribution of different artists and all those things. That being said, like anything, there are those occasional people that have the amazing skills to pull that off.
Skills to pay the bills.
And speaking of amazing skills,
this man,
bam! Let's just say Alex Ross.
I have a question.
Yes.
Marvel, why do you insist on having multiple covers when you have Alex Ross doing the main cover? Who needs another cover?
I can't argue that point. The Marvel Zombie Cap cover was very cool this week. I'll say that. But it's true. If you have Alex Ross is the A cover, you really don't need another cover to that book. A person needs to buy 2 copies, one to squirrel away and one to read and enjoy.
I mean, talk about masterful.
Look, I could just stand here with this cover. That cover is totally worth $3.99. Every Alex Ross cover is totally worth $3.99 at least. And everybody's very excited. He's going to be doing the wraparound covers to a bunch of books for Marvel coming up, the like classic versions of all the characters, and that's going to be super fun. Everybody knows I'm a huge Cap fan. This series is awesome. We're selling more and more of them all the time, so I think word is getting out. Despite not a lot of marketing on Marvel's part for this title, despite not a lot of buzz going on, it sells really well, and like I say, it continues to sell more and more all the time because it's just great stories, great art. And like I say, I'm a big Cap fan, so you knew this was already in my stack. But I just had to show this cover. I just had to brag about the Alex Rossness.
I'm with you, Michael. No awesome variant covers on any book. Yeah, there's some publishers that really hold to that. I know Boom Studios is pretty anti multi covers.
That's true.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's kind of true. Furthermore, like Oni doesn't really do a lot of that sort of thing. Seems to go one way or the other. Some of the companies, like Dynamite, likes to put 15 covers on everything, and other companies, really like to keep it lean.
Either way, that's a whole other topic. Variant covers is a whole other topic. But again, when it's Alex Ross, you don't need anybody else.
Yeah, I think it's very fair to say that that when it's Alex Ross, you don't really need that.
Who chooses somebody else over Alex? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you get both. You don't choose the other one. You get both.
Mm.
But as they say, if you aren't reading Captain America, they've been having gorgeous Alex Ross covers for a while, which is even if you're not reading the great stories.
He's doing the
Yes,
covers for
he's
Mortal
also
Hulk.
doing the
And
covers
Amazing
for
Spider-Man, right?
Mortal Hulk. I think he was. I don't think he is anymore.
Good stuff. I can't wait for our announcement.
Is it time to
we
get
could keep going. We could keep going, but I kind of want to make. I'm just.
Okay.
I haven't slept.
So
I'm so excited.
I'll give a segue and then I'll let you take it over because it's your baby and I know you're going to explode. So we will get back to the new comics. We'll talk a little more new comics. We have big news to talk about. So get your comments and questions about this week's comics ready because we want to hear what you guys are reading and what you're enjoying.
Yes.
While you're doing that, it's time for a big announcement. Big announcement.
So we have the preliminary work done on a Kickstarter campaign for the Black Cat publishing arm of Black Cat Comics in
Rockin' Milpitas.
So we are launching the first comic and hopefully many series, the Black Cat Chronicles. Black Cat Chronicles are true horror stories told and narrated by our very own Black Cat. And the first story is the Greyfriars Cemetery in Scotland. Super creepy. This stuff you just can't make up. That's why our tagline is truth is scarier than fiction. We've got an artist lined up already. We're working on the rewards for the Kickstarter. It's going to launch in probably mid-September or early October, just in time for Halloween. So keep an eye out for that. We're really excited. So I am 40-something and been into comics since I was 23, probably earlier than that. Anyway, 20 years. Reading them, loving them, being a retailer for 18 years. I've been a writer as long as I could read and write. And the first horror story I wrote, I was 6 years old. And it was a haunted house story about these kids that find this crazy haunted house at the end of a street. And I've been writing horror ever since. Some stuff's published, some stuff's not. And I'm really excited to put my pen on my very first comic story. I'm beside myself with excitement for it.
Yes, all those things. I'm also very excited. So getting into Black Cat Publishing. We're going to start making our own comics, which is really great. Your favorite comic shop is going to become your favorite comic publisher. And as she said, we're going to start with one title, Black Cat Chronicles, and we're going to creepy crawl that one out. And as soon as we can catch our breath from getting the first book out, we're going to launch a second title.
Yes. Called Black Cat Tales. Get it? Get the pun? Tail? Black Cat Tales. And these will be fictional horror and sci-fi genre kind of fusion stuff that he and I are both going to be writing. So
we'll have one comic that is true stories that will scare you, and we've got other that's fictional stories that will scare you and have and be a lot of fun to read.
So Michael, we're going to wait to announce the artist once we get closer to the dates. You're just going to have to wait.
Be on the lookout for the launch of the Kickstarter program. We will, of course, be pitching it in the newsletter and in these videos and all that kind of thing. You will definitely not miss it. And
how many variants? Actually, we're actually thinking about a couple. So I know that might put a sour taste in some people's mouths, but it's actually to support some of our local artists, to give them a little bit of that Kickstarter money. So.
So that's going to be super fun. And like I said, we're really excited about that. Be on the lookout for the Kickstarter launch. And of course, we'll start encouraging you to participate right now. We won't be able to do it without you. So be on the lookout for that.
Yes, very, very excited.
And like I say,
are expensive to produce.
It is, yes. There's a lot to go on. But I think once we get it going, once it's up and running, I think it will take off. And I think people will want to, you'll be excited about what you see. You're going to want the next issue.
Check your email. Check your email.
Because, you know, one thing I've always said about everything in comics is that whatever it is, even these great Alex Ross covers, okay, that's great, but you got to make them want the next one. You got to keep them into it. So the first issue is going to be it's going to take a little while to produce and take a little while to get everything up and running. Once we're up and running, it's going to be fast and furious, and it's going to be awesome. And
it's really, you know, the money that we're asking for is going pretty much all to the artists and to the printing and fulfillment costs. That's it.
Just production.
We're not making any money from it. We're just gonna. It's because we love doing it, and it's really kind of mind-boggling how expensive it is to produce one issue of one comic. It's just I just can't even. Yeah, but it's gonna be amazing.
It is. It's gonna be amazing. You guys are gonna love the art. The stories are great. We, of course, have every intention of producing a good quality product and making it fun to read. We want to have something that we carry here in the store and something that we'd want to read, something you'd want to read. And I think it's something that isn't already all over the market. I think it's something that will be I never like to say unique. It's tough to be unique in comics, but it'll be definitely a different experience from the other stuff that's out there.
We at least, I'll speak for myself, gravitate towards the horror. So whenever we travel, you know, we're lucky enough to go to cons, different places in the country, all over the world. We go to the creepy, you know, spots that are haunted, spots that have a checkered past, if you will. And so I've got just loads and loads and loads of script ideas. I've got 3 other scripts that are already done, waiting for artists. So if the first one is successful, then hopefully we can do more. And just so you know, I didn't know this because I'm brand new to whole Kickstarter. If we don't make our goal, nothing happens. No comics are produced. No one gets any money. Nothing happens. So we really need your help in spreading the word and reaching our goal. We're going to make it as modest a goal as we can, just to kind of cover the costs. But if we could get, you know, as many people just pitching $1, $2, $5, that would be great. Then that means we can do more.
And like I said, we're real excited because, as she said, when we travel around, we go places, we do these like walking tours and we go to like the cemetery tours, and you go to at least 3 and all these things. And of course, you know, I've been into comics since I was little, longer than I can read, and so just about any time I hear a cool story, I think to myself, "Ooh, that would make a good comic. Ooh, that would make a good comic. Oh, I'd love to see that as a comic. Boy, I bet John Byrne would make that really great as a comic." And so after saying that 100,000 times, finally we were like, you know, we should make a comic.
Well, okay. Just a little, just between us, just our little group right here.
Tell us the origin story.
No, I can't spoil it. But just between us. Okay, I'm almost 50. My goal is, by the time I'm 50, to write for DC Comics. Let me tell you why. I know it's a lofty goal. I have the best Hellblazer story in my noodle. It came out of nowhere. It's just like the best. I've collected 1 through 150 issues of the original Hellblazer. I've read them all. I know the character inside and out. I love him. I know this guy. I have the best story that has not been told, and I'm dying to tell it, but I can't do it unless I do something else first to get on the radar. So hopefully DC will be like, this gal knows what she's doing. Can I write
Sign her up for a Black Label book.
Can I please write Constantine?
And then as the editor of Black Cat Publishing, I can use that and say, hey, we have DC Comics writer Francie Soto. So, you know, win-win.
I have a different pen name.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You have to call me Francesca Maria. That's my pen name. Not to be confused with retailer and Reiki practitioner Francie Soito. It's Francesca Maria.
So we're super excited, and like I say, we'll be talking it up and encouraging you guys to participate in any and every way that you can. Like I say, your favorite comic shop is going to become your favorite comic publisher, and we're going to make some creepy cool stuff. We have lots of plans for lots of different things. So like I say, we'll get the first one going, and build up that fan base. And with the millions and millions of copies that we sell of Black Cat Chronicles, we'll get Black Cat Tales out. We've got some other anthology ideas. We've got all kinds of fun stuff because we're comic book people.
Hey man, and if we're successful, we would love to have a customer anthology book. You know, write your favorite fan fiction and we can publish it. Whether it's comic form or book form, who knows?
And because part of the fun of all this was the, so many people. As we said last week, we've been here 18 years. This was our 18th anniversary last week. And many times over all these years, folks have come in with their big idea. They have a big idea, or they're producing their own comic. How do I do this? How do I do that? And now, instead of just giving them tips of advice, I can say, yeah, we'll publish that. Sure, bring it in. We'll roll with that. That's cool.
We'll give it a whirl. Yeah, Darkness Comes. That's awesome that you had a story at 6, the same premise. Yeah. That's your first horror story, is writing about the haunted house at the end of the block.
Or in Neil Gaiman's case, your latest story is about the haunted house at the end of the block.
That's right.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. So be on the lookout for that. Again, we'll keep you all posted with in the video updates and everything else as we roll along.
Okay. Now I can relax. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Sorry.
Well, when I said origin story, I meant of the Black Cat Publishing. Like where did this come from? Aside from our trips and our, hey, that sounds like we should do that. Like when did it really click that you were like, we're going to do this?
Well, honestly, I think it was a conversation we had with Emo about him pitching the idea of doing a free comic book day book a few years ago. And then I started thinking, well, what would we do on our own? And it just immediately came forward as Black Cat Chronicles and Black Cat Tales, fiction and nonfiction. And I've always loved the old kind of Tales from the Crypt shows where the Crypt Keeper was kind of the narrator. He kind of introduced the story, set it up, and then had like some funny, witty thing to say at the end. So I'm kind of using the Black Cat, our Black Cat, as a flavor of that, but without the camp and without the humor. Like our Black Cat, it's kind of godlike. I'm saying too many things. I'm just going to stop.
There you go. They can read all about it at the Kickstarter.
You can read it up.
So yeah, that's going to be tons and tons of fun. I'm a little bit, if you watched the interview with Mike Martz last week, I'm a little bit in his camp. I'm like any comic book fan. I'm somebody who has 100,000 ideas for great comics. But then I came to understand that kind of stuff's probably best left to the talent, and I signed myself up as editor, so I can hire those people and read their stuff and produce their work.
Why don't you talk about your sci-fi story?
What's up, CJ? Well, as I say, we have a lot of ideas for lots of projects.
First things first.
Yes, I probably will dabble in writing a little bit of this or that, but for my part, I imagine the editor has more than enough work to do. And like I say, kind of like what Mike said last week.
Herding cats.
Well, it's about, being surrounded by talented people and getting to read great stories all the time is a really great job.
Yeah.
Writing is fun and writing is cool and telling those stories is cool. But like I said, I'll also enjoy soliciting great stories from great writers and artists.
It's all about writing the stories you want to read. I'm writing the things I'm not seeing right now. That's why I'm writing them, because I want to read them.
And I'm a little that way in that, as I say every time on these shows, CJ. I'm a Marvel DC guy. I love the capes and all that sort of thing. But again, like Mike said about Aftershock last week, there are plenty of companies who are handling that, and plenty of companies who are doing a great job doing that sort of thing. I'm very happy to read Marvel's Captain America. I don't need to make up my own Captain America. But what's not out there is a lot of other stuff, and there seems to be, as I said earlier, there's a great demand for all that for other genre work. And I think, like we said, true stories are just the best. True horror stories are so creepy. Sometimes I can't even watch like true crime shows because it's just too creepy.
Well, and I'm going deep. I'm not telling stories you've already heard of. I'm going deep to try to highlight things that are even more insidious and creepy than you can imagine, and stories you've never heard of.
So super fun. We're looking forward to it. And now support. You all know we've been walking around with this for a long time, and in recent weeks we finally got the pieces moving, and so it's going to happen. So there you go. We couldn't contain the news any longer. So now you know. So now, in addition to commenting about this week's books and books you're excited about, you can throw us questions about Black Cat Publishing, or you can throw those ideas for comics that you might have. A lot of us comic people have that big idea that they're walking around with, as you have your Hellblazer story, as I have a couple of Fantastic Four stories. I think everybody's got a Batman story.
I have several.
That's all fun stuff. Now that we've made our big announcement and you've finally gotten all of that out, do you want to get back to talking about comics?
Sure.
Oh yes, that's a ton of fun. Can we just spend the rest of the half hour talking about Batman the Animated Series? We watched this 2-hour documentary yesterday.
On YouTube 2 days ago.
Saw some. It seemed like a fairly recent documentary on the Batman animated series. It was like 2 hours long, and it was just so mind-blowingly cool. It's pretty hard to show someone like me things we didn't already know, but they did a good job of that. Which brings us to Batman: The Adventures Continues #3.
Trace. C.
That's cover B.
It is cover B. I like this cover. That's why I chose it. So it's fun. It's Paul Dini and Alan Burnett, which were the show,
writer
mainstays. Yeah, in the beginning. So it's got the same flavor. It feels a little bit more kid-oriented than the show does. It doesn't feel as dark or heavy, but there's still, so having said that, it's still extremely interesting and intriguing, and there's a underlying mystery from the last 3 issues that we still understand what the full scope of it is. That I'm hoping the next issue there'll be some kind of reveal, because there's somebody lurking around the corner throughout all 3 issues, and we don't know who it is. At least I don't. And so I'm hoping that we'll figure that out by next issue. It's good stuff. Deathstroke's in there. We haven't seen Deathstroke in the Adventures mashup before.
And that's what I was going to say. It's fun to see not just the characters that you know and love returning, but it's fun to see characters you haven't seen in that universe, in that version. It
feels like it's stories that they didn't get a chance to tell, with characters that maybe were too edgy or too not for TV. Because Deathstroke, he's kind of hard to introduce to a young audience, right?
That's why they don't call him Deathstroke in Teen Titans Go.
Oh.
They call him Slade.
Oh, that's right.
Because Deathstroke just seems kind of harsh for a kids program.
So that was also on my stack this week.
Though it also kind of makes you wonder, like, he's like 60 and he's like totally hunting down little kids all the time. It's kind of weird. Let me see that again real quick. Because getting back to variant covers, this is, and again, it's a whole topic, and there's, like everything in comics, there's 1,000 different things to talk about. But I will say, I'm in support of an A and B kind of thing. You look at this, and there's no logo, there's no, there's just a cool art piece. And that's a cool cover. And then there's the characters in the book and all that kind of thing. I like an A and a B. I like a choice. You can get the A cover that has the logo, that has a cover based on what's going on in the book and all that kind of thing. Or you have the B cover, which is a little more art oriented and I don't know, whatever you'd want to say. I think that's cool. Give me a choice. Maybe I pick up two different ones. Maybe I choose between them, but I'm okay with that. I kind of like how Marvel does the theme thing. You have the A cover, and then this month they're all zombies, or this month they're all romance comics, or whatever it might be. I think that's fun because, again, I can get the A cover if I want, or if I like the theme, if I like the cool thing they're doing that month, I can pick up the others. So, like I say, I'm in support of that. What you said about Alex Ross is true. If Alex Ross is the A cover, don't bother. Just go with the A cover. And you never need a third one. I am never for incentive covers. I am never for making people pay more for an exclusive cover. I'm just not for that. And again, we don't need 3, 4, 5, 9 covers.
Vampirella, Dynamite.
But I am cool with 2. I am cool with A and a B. I'm cool with themes and things like that. And since you had a cool one, that gave me a good example of a positive use of that sort of thing. My book turn. Okay.
Yeah, your turn.
So I'm getting to talk about all my favorites this week. This is one of those weeks where I get to talk about Empire is sort of my Avengers book. And Captain America is, of course, my favorite thing. And Fantastic Four is one of my other favorite things. And this one ties into your Empire stuff and is sort of puts the lie to what I said earlier, that if you're just reading your main title, you can just keep reading your main title and not worry about the event, because here you are reading Fantastic Four, and now all of a sudden it's an Empire book. If you are allergic to events, then you can just put this one aside. It'll go back to being regular Fantastic Four in a couple issues. But it also feeds into the other thing I like to say about events is give them a try, because here you are reading Fantastic Four. This is number 22. When they get to 25, the results of Empire will have happened, and there will be big changes for the Fantastic Four. Marvel, if you kill off one of the FF, get me so mad.
No one from Marvel is listening, don't worry.
But Fantastic Four is a great book. It's a fun book. So if you were reading Empire and you're not reading Fantastic Four, you would pick this up and you'd be like, oh, this book's actually a lot of fun. I think I'll keep reading it. And that's kind of the idea. And the reverse is true. If you were only reading Fantastic Four, you would read this issue and you'd be like, oh, that was pretty cool. Maybe I should be checking out Empire. And again, that's the way it's supposed to be. Is it a total cash grab for your $4.99? Yes, of course. This is an industry, but they want to make it worth it. And so I encourage you to read Fantastic Four anytime, but particularly now.
Show that shot.
I can't. That's the last page. I can't show. But what I can say, if you watch this regularly, is that this cover somewhat homages what Simonson fans know as the new FF. And there's more of the new FF in this one, just like in the last issue. And so if you're a deep FF fan like me, then when I say the new FF, you know what I'm talking about, and you're going to see him on the last page of this book. Semi-spoiler. But yes, to be fair, you saw him on the cover of the last book. So
creating a new style of Vertigo. You know, I was raised on Vertigo, so you get me.
And yeah, that's kind of the idea, is a new style of Vertigo. At least with the Chronicles part, as you know, because we've talked about it. But with that true angle, because that's even creepier.
So Michael's got a really good question. How do you pick covers for the sub list especially since we're not open? You can't come in and just trade them when you're here. That's a good question. So the short answer is, if you check ahead of time before Monday, you can put it on your sub list which cover you want. We do have a lot of guys that do that look ahead a couple weeks ahead and then put on their sub list which cover they want. Barring that, it's not really easy to exchange it once you pick it up, because you know, we can't come in, we can't take stuff back. It's crazy times. These times are crazy.
So yeah, that's sort of
Kind
the
of the
gist.
only way to do it, I guess.
The long version is you can see, everything I say is only half true. Well, because as I say, you can, with Marvel and DC books, a lot of the time, the other cover is published ahead of time. You can go to websites and you'll know.
Oh, right. Some you can't until the day of.
You can see what the other cover is. And you can go to the subscription list and you say, hey, for Amazing Spider-Man number 46, I want the B cover. Yeah. Okay, great. No problem. But 60% of the time, certainly with all the other publishers, that's usually not true. And with a lot of the time with Marvel and DC, when the B cover just says, has a DC logo or something, and so you don't really know. That's part of the problem I have with the ordering. That's a huge problem I have with the ordering, is because I don't know what the B cover looks like until it gets here, or who the artist is. It just says, TBA, and so I order 5 of them. And in the 3 weeks between my order and when the book arrives, it's Stanley Lau, and everybody and their mother wants that book. Archer. And so there's not a real easy way to do that. But if you want to put the work in ahead of time, you can go to Diamond's site like 3 weeks out and arrange your subscription list that way. It's not easy, but it can be done. That's about the only thing I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, and we're overwhelmed with just maintaining right now. And so I know a lot of you guys have been emailing us with special requests, and I'm just sorry. They're falling through the cracks. We're not responding as quickly as we'd like. We're like barely hanging on to just basic operations. So the surefire way to give us your preferences is through that sub form. That's a separate process that we've already got integrated into our programs, but emails and phone calls here and there, they get lost in the shuffle. So,
but we have to check the sub lists every single week, so that's the best way to make changes. Yeah. And while we're on the topic, because yes, we are stretched pretty thin right now for all kinds of obvious reasons. But in a sense, that's kind of how comics have always worked. One thing I've always tried to emphasize to everybody is that at best, I have a 3-week window. When you make requests the week the book comes out, it's too late, and that's just how it is. And that isn't me or any other store. It's just that the order went in 3 weeks ago, and like I say, and that's at best. Most of the time, it's 3 months. A lot of the publishers have a 3-month window, and so when you make last minute changes to your subscription list, there's just not anything I can do about that. And the reverse is true. But if you do it 3 weeks ahead of time, which I know seems a little out there, but on Diamond's website and on big publisher websites, you can totally do that. If you, like me, want to work 3-4 weeks out, then you can totally do that. Then you can totally update your list like a month out, and you'll get everything that you're looking for.
And there's quite a few folks that are fans of, let's say, Alex Ross. And so on their list, they'll say any Alex Ross cover. So then that's easy for us. Anytime Alex Ross is doing a cover of a title if there's an option for the cover, we'll choose the Alex Ross cover for them.
So there you go.
As another way of getting around that.
But generally speaking, you will get the A cover. Generally speaking, as we're set up now, everybody gets the A covers unless they specify otherwise. And then if you want those B covers,
everybody gets A as default.
Pick them up off the website. That's the new thing to do.
Man, it was a good week for comics.
It's great. I've still got a bunch. We've only got 15 minutes left, but lots of good books.
This was this week, right?
That is this guy? Yes.
I'm a couple weeks behind.
Here's the A cover.
I love this cover. I love this. I love their DC's card stock. Speaking of cover variants and stuff, I personally will pay the extra buck for the card stock because you're not gonna tweak or damage these things. You have to really do some damage. You have to really work at doing some damage. But I just think the art's beautiful. This Tom Taylor, he's on my radar now. I'm digging him. Apparently he did the Injustice stuff too, but that's only on digital, not on print. Love it. It's, again, that what I was saying about Ghost. It's horror with pulling at your heartstrings, and you're not sure who's alive or dead, and you're not sure what's going to happen. And it's, I mean, just look at that. I can share that one. Just look at that. Oh, it's totally like Walking Dead.
Look at that Sandman Audible advertisement.
Oh my God. Have you guys done this yet? Have you listened to it? So good. So good.
And that's another great example. I was reading Jesse's comment, Darkness Comes comment. That's another great example. I also totally agree with that. If you're willing and able to drop an extra buck on your issue, then it's cool to have that option. It's cool to have a cardstock cover option. The art pops. And like you say, something with a bit of a tougher cover and different things. Again, if you're going to make a B cover, have it really stand out. Have it, give your buyer another choice. And I'm really cool with that.
Yes, I'm reading Darkness Comes.
It's super true. And if you don't want us to read the comment, that's fine. But I agree with you. Some things, stories are stories, and there's lots of ways to tell stories. But sometimes I honestly feel a comic book is the best way to tell a story.
Yeah.
Because the mix of the visual and the story conveys a story that other mediums can't do. Even in movies and TV, whatever, where you have video and obviously you have sound, it's not the same as an artist's rendition of that same concept.
Yes.
So I think that was for me a big part of Black Cat Publishing, was seeing different things and being like, that would make such a great comic. That would make such a great comic. Well, then make the damn comic.
Then do it. Do it. Yeah, Tony, Deceased is just killing it. I love all of them. And when there's a lot of offshoots, like this is like the third, maybe the fourth Deceased offshoot, you're like, that's gonna lose some quality. It doesn't have the same staying power. Oh no, it's just as good as the first one. It's just as good as the original. So if you picked up the first series Deceased, you've been missing out. You've got like 3 other miniseries to catch up on.
And you're right. That kind of consistency is tough.
Yes, Nicole. Yes.
Michael, the card stocks are usually the B covers. How shall I say? If there's a cardstock cover, it's the B cover. Deceased has 2 cardstock covers, so it's technically a B and a C. But in most cases,
like Batman.
This week, Batman. I don't know. I don't have the B there, but
I do.
Is that cardstock or is it just B cover?
No, it's cardstock.
So with DC,
this is the B cover of Batman this week.
Right. So the way DC does it. Again, most of the time, not all the time. Anytime I say anything, there's 50 exceptions. But generally speaking, DC has the regular A cover, $3.99, and then they have a cool cardstock cover for $4.99. That being said, DC also does B covers, what they call virgin covers. That are not cardstock. They just don't have the logo. So sometimes B cover is cardstock, sometimes it isn't. But generally speaking, DC is only doing 2 covers per book.
And as far as the cardstock B covers, Batman, Wonder Woman, sometimes Flash. Those are the ones that consistently have a B cover that's $1 more.
Yeah, Batman, Detective. Detective
is the same price. For next week, I looked at it.
There you go. I think Justice League, but it's a little intermittent. So
Justice League Dark, I think, has that cardstock too. Yeah.
But like I say, that's another good reason to have a variant. Is if your B cover is a different product, that's pretty cool. Okay. So since I mentioned it, I was.
What was your guys' pick this week? Put your comments in so we can hear and see what you guys were reading this week.
I know you're all reading Batman, so you can throw out your comments about Batman. I know most of you are reading Empire, so you can and feel free to disagree with me. Every once in a while, somebody says, "I thought that event book was lame." I'll just delete the comment, so you can feel free to say whatever you want. No, I'm just kidding. Justice League number 50. Again, I got to. Did we freeze up over there? I got to pick up some of my favorite books this week. Avengers, Fantastic Four, Captain America, and Justice League. If you watch the Wednesday video, I'm sure it's going. There it is. If you watch the Wednesday video, you know I talk up Justice League all the time. If you're old school like me, you love these double-sized anniversary issues. If you're old school like me, you picked up issue 42 and went, we're only 8 issues away from number 50. You do. That's just how comics go. I remember so many times as a kid, you'd pick up number 194 and you'd be like, it didn't occur to you last month, but if for whatever reason, we're just 6 issues away from 200. Because we love these big double size. It is almost always the end of the big climactic conclusion to some huge thing that's going on, something that requires like all 800 pages. And this one's just really awesome.
It's great art.
Justice League has been that is great art. It's just been a really, really fun book to read. All the big heroes, all the big villains.
Nice.
Again, outer space action, creepy aliens you haven't seen before.
Tony's reading Bad Mother issue by Upshot. I think that's AWA.
Yeah.
AWA is doing Upshot is their Upshot Now is their magazine. It's like a preview of all the books that are coming out. Oh, look at that.
Cool, huh?
Can we talk about
what's the last page?
I know I'm not going to talk about that. Can we talk about something that's coming out really soon? Because it's Jeff Johns. And oh my God, if it's not on your list, guys,
get it on your list now.
3 Jokers. It's going to be that prestige format, 3 issues. There's like 3 covers. Speaking of covers,
there's like 5 covers. So make sure right now you need to get it on your list.
He's ordering it tomorrow, so like
it's already in because I think it's coming like next week.
You might be too late then. You might be too late. But Jeff Johns, Batman. Hi, yes, please. Can I have some more? Can I please have some more?
DC's just knocking it out of the park right now. I gotta say, all their big guns are a lot of fun. I don't have a super book.
Deano. Yes, we're doing well. I hope you're doing well too.
I don't have a super book to talk about this week, but like I say, always love any chance to pitch Justice League, and every superhero fan should have Justice League on their list. That's just how that is.
Oh, good, Michael. I'm glad you liked the Aftershock SOS book. That was really great that they did that. Heartfelt, heartwarming. Kudos to Mike Martz. So glad I heard about it on last week's show. Yes, thank you. Glad you liked it, Michael.
Glad you liked it. Glad you picked it up. I really enjoyed it too. It's a bunch of stories about people's early comic book experience, and we talked about it last week.
Okay.
But it's well worth picking up. I appreciate that they did it. Of course, it supports comic shops, but it's just a great read, and that's what comics are all about.
Okay.
I'm going to
that's my last
leapfrog you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because, and in fact, okay, I'll show it to you because it's in my hand. Star Wars number 5, Star Wars. I'm always talking about Star Wars. This is the Empire Strikes Back era. Read Star Wars, but because time's winding down, and I wanted to get to a couple of things. In fact, we're going to go speed round.
Lightning
here.
round.
We're going to go lightning round here. First of all, this is just the awesomest thing I've seen in a long time.
How cool is
this is Transformers My Little Pony. I'll be 200% honest with you. I don't read a lot of Transformers, and I don't read My Little Pony.
You're not a brony?
But no, my dance card's too full. But I had to check this out because, come on, Transformers and My Little Pony. I've been saying for a long time what a great era of mashups we're in. We just wrapped up Betty and Veronica Meet Red Sonja and Vampirella, which was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard of until My Little Pony Transformers came. Come on. It's fun just to see how they do these things. Again, if you're 100 years old like me, one of the real fun things about Marvel Team Up was how do you get these two characters together? They always found some way for Spider-Man to somehow accidentally run into Moon Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, just the first couple pages was the most fun part of the book. Friendship in disguise.
Yes, Tony.
That's awesome.
So good.
So I just had to show this because come on, that's just really
yeah.
awesome. And be on the lookout for all of those different mashups that are going on. Star Trek, Planet of the Apes, all kinds of different things that folks have been doing recently, and that's a lot of fun. I said this was Speed Round. Usagi Jimbo, number 11. Usagi Jimbo. Another thing I've been saying, watch the Eisner Awards from the Comic-Con at home. Because the Eisners are the best of the comics industry. And Stan Sakai, creator of Usagi Jimbo, became the newest addition to the Comic Book Hall of Fame. Well deserved, long overdue. I talk about Usagi all the time. It is one of the most interesting and unique comics you're going to read. It's an all ages. It's a true all ages title. A kid can read this. Anyone can read this and love it. And so every time there's a new issue, next week we'll get the color ones, which are color classics, are colored reprints of the original stuff. Can't say enough about Usagi Jimbo. Just pick up the new issue and dive in to see what I'm talking about, or pick up that first volume. Again, there's a reason why they put him in the Hall of Fame, and there isn't another comic like Usagi Jimbo. The Resistance is your free comic book Sunday book, among a couple others, but I wanted to spotlight this one. Two, of course, again, reiterate how we're doing Free Comic Book Day all summer long. Every Sunday is Free Comic Day. Folks, fans and customers, your Free Comic Day will be in your shipment or will be in your pickup. If you don't have a shipment or pickup, go to the events page, schedule a pickup for Sunday to get your Free Comic Book Day books. That's the spiel on the routine. Make sure you get a copy of Resistance, whoever you are, wherever you are. Tony, you mentioned the other AWA book from this week. I've been talking up a lot of this. This is J. Michael Straczynski, one of the greatest writers of all time, and that's no BS. And they're a new publisher. They're putting out all kinds of great books. This is your opportunity. We talked about Dark Arc last week. Pick up the Dark Arc Free Comic Book Day book, and that will introduce you.
That was really good.
Man, that's still keeping me up. That book is still keeping me up at night. And I read it 2 weeks ago.
So good.
And so, Free Comic Book Day. Not for little ones. Free Comic Book Day, Free Comic Book Sunday, Free Comic Book Summer is so awesome and so important for things like this. For the new school fans, there's all the greatness, but for us old school fans, you get turned on to new publishers, new titles, new creators. So make sure that you book your thing for Sunday, or that you get your Free Comic Book Day Resistance book, because this story is awesome. Everything from AWA is awesome. Like this, like Old Haunts, like Hotel. I'm just having a great time with them, and so. Really wanted to pitch AWA and
if you are
free book.
A mail order sub, we're automatically putting whatever we have, we'll put in your box for you.
For sure. And last but not least, I wanted to mention a Kazi Classic. We did not do an episode of Kazi Classics this week. As we said, we're just kind of stretched a little thin, guys. So we'll do them as often as we can. But I wanted to mention this one. You can read about it in the newsletter. I'm a big time Avengers fan, and obviously this is a super cool classic, but it's in my hand and in the newsletter, and you want it in your stack, because if you're reading Empire and you're not 100 years old like me, you have no idea who the swordsman is or why he's important. As I said in the newsletter, if you only know Mantis from the Marvel movies, you got some classic comics reading to do. If you don't have any idea who the swordsman is because he's not in any of the Marvel movies, you got some great some homework to do, and this is a great place to start. A little like Free Comic Day, if you read a cool classic comic, it will change your life. It will show you what makes vintage comics fun in the different way that the new comics are fun. As it was an Avengers book, I thought I'd take the opportunity to pitch this. And you can see all kinds of different classics every week in the Kazi's Classic Corner in the newsletter.
We're working out the frequency of the Kazi's Classics live.
We'll probably get around to like once a month or something, because it's fun and we love to do it, and we love to keep the emphasis on the old books. Yeah. So while we had a stack, I figured I'd mention my Kazi's Classic.
That's good.
Which about takes us to our hour.
Boy, that just flew by.
Always does. Friendship in disguise. That's so awesome.
So much. Next story arc. Yep.
So you got a minute to throw your questions, comments, and queries at us while I do my bit of a wrap up. Do you have any last minute comments for the audience?
Just overall, thank you. You know, it's been really a roller coaster ride these last 6 months since March. And just thank you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for understanding the decisions that we've had to make. And just, I don't know, just thanks. Really appreciate it.
Ditto. Very much appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you. Wouldn't be here without you. And it's really fun to be here. So we're glad you're here. We're glad you're watching.
Yep.
You can find us every Wednesday morning. We post a live video showing you the comics that are out for the week. Then you see the newsletter pop up. You read the newsletter. That's how you know all the books are live. Go to black-cat-comics.com. Pick up all of this week's fun stuff. Read your books through the week. Then you tune in every Saturday, 2 o'clock, and we talk about all your favorite comics. Because that's what we do here at Black Cat Comics and Rockin' Milpitas.
All about the comics.
So thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. We really appreciate it. Hope you had as much fun as we did. And we'll see you next week.
Have a great week.